welcome to the Way of Truth through Torah, and that was the grandchildren. Yay, y'all did a great job. And now we're going to invite everyone to join with us as we say the Shema, which means what, guys?
Hear and do.
Hear and do, O Israel. And Shema Israel. So for anyone who is online, you may want to join us. It is in Deuteronomy 6:4. And if you've got a Scriptures Bible, it's on page 193. Okay, are y'all ready? Hear, O Israel, Yahweh or Elohim, Yahweh is one. And you shall love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart, with all your being, and with all your might. And these words which I am commanding you today shall be in your heart, and you shall impress them upon your children, and shall speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them as a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. And it shall be, when Yahweh your Elohim brings you into the land of which he swore to your fathers, to Ahiran, to Ishak, and to Yaakov, to give you great and good cities which you did not build, and houses filled with all kinds of goods which you did not fill, and wells dug which you did not dig, vineyards and olive trees which you did not plant, and you shall eat and be satisfied. Be on guard, lest you forget Yahweh who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim from the house of bondage. Fear Yahweh your Elohim, and serve him, and swear by his name. Amen. Amen. And Dennis, while you're up here, would you go ahead and open us in prayer?
Father, we just come to you today humbly. Father, we ask you to forgive us of our sins when we fall short of your glory, Father. Father, we thank you for a most beautiful Shabbat, Father, and a most beautiful day. We look forward to this day each and every week, Father, so we can spend it with you. It is a sign between you and your children, Father, and we want to have that sign. Father, we just love you. We thank you. We bless your holy name, Father, in the precious name of Yeshua HaMashiach, I pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. And more after you. And after you. And after you. Well, not you. I didn't say after you.
Okay, well, I gotta get out of here.
Oh, Grant. That's so sweet. Are you going to pull it out from under me?
I don't think Grant's got that in him.
He's a gentleman and he can blow the shofar, which is what we like, right? So, guys, what are we studying today? What's our Torah portion? Where did Val go?
Number 17.
Don't know about
Potty,
it.
baby? Are you in the potty?
Well, now everybody knows.
She's singing in the potty.
She's singing in the restroom.
I forgot
Some
what
people
it was.
sing in the shower. We've got Val, not Valerie.
I sing in the rain.
I sing in the rain. That's fine. Okay. So, guys, we're starting with number 16 today. And what is it all about? Korach. So we're going to figure out, who is this Korach? Do y'all know who he is? He is a son. He's a grandson of Levi.
Yeah.
So he's a descendant of Levi. Who else is he kin to? He's a second cousin of Moshe. Let's look at this, okay? Let's see. Let's go to Numbers 3:10. I really need to wait for Val to get back because she was going to add to whatever we're talking to. Okay, in Numbers 3:10. And here we go. And I can't find 10. Oh.
You want me to show?
Yeah, I got it right here. It's actually 17. My bad handwriting. And these were the sons of Levi by their names, Gershon, Kahath, and Merari. So these are the three sons that Levi had. And these are the names of the sons of Gershon by their clans, Libni and Shimi. And the sons of Kahath by their clans, Amram, Yitzhar, and Hebron, and Uziel. Okay, we're going to stop right here because I want you to go back to 16 in Numbers. The first verse of 16, it says, in Korah, son of Yitzhar, son of Kahath, So he is the son of Yitzhar, and who is Moshe and Ahiran's father? Amram.
Yeah.
Amram and Jochebed were Moshe's parents. So Amram and Yitzhar were brothers, which makes Korah a first, well, it'd be a second cousin, wouldn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah, a second cousin to Moshe. So he's a cousin. He's kin. Of course, everyone there is kin, a little bit more distant than this, but these are all from the tribe of Levi. What were these Levites responsible for doing? What was the tribe of Kohath responsible for doing?
Taking care of the set apart place. They had jobs to take care of it.
What
KF transported everything.
Kohath, not everything. They transported the holy of holy things. They transported the ark. They transported the table of incense.
Wow.
Everything that was very, very special. Here it is right here. In Numbers 3:30, it says, "And the leader of the father's house of the clans of the Kohaths, was Elitzaphan, son of Uziel. And their duty was the ark and the table and the lampstand and the slaughter places, the utensils and the set apart place used in the service and the coverings in all its service." Now, they didn't get to look upon these things, right?
No.
Because Eleazar had to come and he had to cover everything up prior to them picking up and moving them. But they were responsible for moving. These are the most precious things in the tabernacle, guys. And Korah's family was responsible for moving it. This is an important role. Now, it wasn't the role of priest, but it was very important. Okay, our question today, before I go on with this, is does it matter who you spend your time with? Does it matter where you live? Does it matter who you hang out with? Does it matter who your children hang out with?
Yes.
Even at work, does it matter who you associate with?
Yes.
Listen, guys, if you're not grounded in the Word, most definitely it does. If you're grounded, they're probably not going to sway you. You're going to be the one swaying them. But still, I want you to look at something. Do you know where these guys all lived? In the wilderness? No, I'm kidding. That was a trick question.
But
Thank you, Val. Look at Numbers 3:29. And we're going to see first where Korah lived. The clans of the children of Kohath were to camp to the south side of the dwelling place. Now we know who camps on the north side, right? Who camps on at the entry to the dwelling place? Moshe and Ahiran, and they're in Ahiran's sons, right? Have I lost y'all?
no,
Okay, so we've got Kohath is on the south side. Look who else is on the south side. Look at Numbers 2:10. On the south side, the banner of the camp of Reuben, according to their divisions, and the leader of the children of Reuben, Elitzur, son of Shediur, and his army with its registered ones of 46,500. So guys, look. Now we're going to start into the Torah portion. What we're seeing here is right next to the tabernacle, you've got Kohath on the south side. Right next to them is the tribe of Reuben. These boys are they're neighbors. They're from the same hood, right? Okay, here we go. 16:1. And Korah, son of Yitzhar, son of Kohath, son of Levi, took both Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, son of Pelah, all sons of Reuben. Reuben, hello, they're neighbors. They live together. If one's going to be complaining, who's he going to be complaining to? Anyone who's sitting around him who will hear it, right? So all these tents are pitched very close together. They rose up before Moshe with some of the children of Israel, 250 leaders of the congregation, called ones of the meeting, men of name. Guys, this was 250 very important, probably princes. They were like princes in amongst this 1.6 million people. These were important guys. They were leaders. They were supposed to be leading the people in the right direction. So we've got Moshe, we've got part of the tribe of Reuben, and 250 men with them. They assembled against Moshe and against Ahiran, and they said to them, enough of you. For all the congregation is set apart, all of them, and Yahweh is in their midst. Why then do you lift yourselves above the assembly of Yahweh? Did they forget what just happened? Huh? I mean, think about it, guys. What just happened over in chapter 12? What happened to Miriam?
She got revolted.
Why?
Mumbling and grumbling against Moshe.
She was mumbling and above Moshe. Okay, listen to this. In Numbers 12, verse 1. Now Miriam and Ahiran spoke against Moshe because of the Cushite woman whom he had taken, for he had taken a Cushite woman. And we're going to clarify that right now. Thanks to Valerie. Guys, listen. When you study and study and study, as Valerie studies all the time, you're going to find the little secrets, because lots of people were like, when did he take a Cushite woman? I mean, why would he take a Cushite woman, right? She was not supposed to be married. He was not supposed to marry a Cushite. That was against the law. Okay? The Cushite woman that he married, it was a forced marriage, and it was when he was on the run from Pharaoh, from Mitzrayim, from Egypt. He went to Cush, and Kikianus, who was king of Cush, died. He had a fatal disease, and he died in a very short period of time. So what they did is they took Moshe, elevated him up to the place of king, because he had come up with a grand idea, and they really liked him, and he was smart. He was a great leader. Still was here. That's why he was chosen by Yah, right? But they raised him up to be king over them, and by becoming the king, he was given Kikianus' wife. I think her name was Adonijah, and this story is in Yashar chapter 72, I think, verse 37, Tim, is that correct? Somewhere right in there. So if you want to look at the story, it's really fascinating, because he was king of Cush. So it was far in the distant past, and on top of that, he never consummated the marriage, because he knew what the law was regarding marrying foreign women. So Moshe never consummated marriage. In fact, what Adonijah said was, look, he's not even really a husband to me, and you're never going to get a child from him through me, because he hasn't consummated it. We're not together. And so they ended up ousting him as king, because he wasn't going to produce an offspring, right? I'm sorry, Dolly, go ahead.
That's okay. You know me, I forget it if I don't say it. Okay, and we see right there, Yahuwah was already preparing Moshe to lead a group of people. He was being trained. He was getting experience right there of being king over this small group of people.
Yes.
I mean, he doesn't send us out to do anything that he doesn't first
train you up and test you, try you to make sure you're going to be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you fail, you're probably not going to be able to do it, and he's going to go on to the next one in line. Okay, let's continue in Numbers 12. So Ahiran and Miriam had risen up against Moshe over something that happened 40 years before in Cush, and I don't think they knew the whole story. Probably Moshe didn't think that they needed to. I don't know. But they went to his past life, and they're mumbling and grumbling over that. This is not a current day Cushite wife. And Valerie, thank you for bringing that to light, because that was amazing. Okay, in verse 2, and they said, has Yahweh spoken only through Moshe? Has he not also spoken through us? And Yahweh heard it? Yahweh heard what they were saying. And the man Moshe was very humble. Listen to this. Listen to how humble he was. He was more humble than all men who were on the face of the earth. That's pretty darn humble, right? And suddenly Yahweh said to Moshe and Ahiran and Miriam, you three come out to the tent of appointment. So the three came out. These guys are in trouble, right? Daddy just called them out. You three outside. And Yahweh came down in the column of cloud and stood in the door of the tent and called Ahiran and Miriam, and they both went forward. And he said, hear now my words. If your prophet is of Yahweh, I make myself known to him in a vision, and I speak to him in a dream. That's how he spoke to most of the prophets. Look at Elijah, right? Jeremiah. He spoke through dreams, through visions. But he said, not so with my servant Moshe. He is trustworthy in all my house. I speak with him mouth to mouth, face to face, guys. Is what he's saying. I speak to him mouth to mouth, face to face. And he sees the form of Yahweh. So why were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moshe? And the displeasure of Yahweh burned against him, and he left. And the cloud turned away from them, and Miriam was leprous. And I want to read one more verse here because this is important. Go on down to verse 13. And it says, and Miriam was shut out of the camp for 7 days, and the people did not set out until Miriam was readmitted. How many people knew she was outside the camp? Everyone. They all knew it. Everyone knew it. So, did they forget already what happens when you grumble against Yah's chosen man? I'm just saying, guys, we don't learn lessons very well, do we? We turn around and we do it again.
Jealousy is a green-eyed monster.
Jealousy, and it's a hard one to tame.
It
It
is.
is
and
very
I mean,
hard.
It is. They just couldn't see anything but, we're just like him. What's the difference?
I've got some verses that I want y'all to read. I want, Val, would you read? Okay. Isaiah 21, and it's going to be 5, Isaiah 5:21. Tiffany, I've got Proverbs. I gotta get a scribe to work with me. I can't read my own writing.
You're a scribe.
You want to be my scribe? I want my own scribe. Okay.
He writes really well.
He does. He's got beautiful handwriting, especially for a man. Okay, Proverbs 3:1. And I've got Proverbs 12:26. And Charles, I didn't mean to skip you. I've got 1 Corinthians 15:33. Timothy, I've got 2 Corinthians 6:14. And Seth Roney, I've got Psalms 141:3-5. I'm going to turn the camera around. Now, I don't remember who all. I just said read, so.
Mallory's ready.
I am not.
No, it's a little bit.
I'm going to get Valerie later.
No, but we need to, she's bad. She's a little bad.
Okay, Val, go ahead.
All right, Isaiah 5:21. Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes and clever in their own sight.
First of all, that's what we need to know.
Yes.
Wise in their own eyes and clever in their own sight. This is what these guys are, because they're thinking for themselves, aren't they? Okay, Tiff.
Proverbs 3:1. My son, do not forget my Torah, and let your heart watch over my commands.
Okay, so don't be wise in your own eyes. We should always consult what? The Torah to give us guidance and counsel. Okay.
26.
Grant.
Proverbs 12:26. Sorry.
Proverbs 12:26.
The righteous is a guide to his neighbor, but the way of the wrong leads them astray.
Okay, so you got a wise neighbor? If he's righteous, and what does righteousness mean, Dennis?
Deuteronomy 6:25.
It is righteousness for us when we go out to do all the commands before Yahweh Elohim as he commands.
And what verse is that in Scripture?
Deuteronomy 6:25.
Deuteronomy 6:25. Okay. 1 Corinthians 15:33. Charles.
Yes, ma'am. It is. Do not be led astray. Evil company corrupts good habits.
Evil company corrupts good habits. Guys, we've got to watch who we hang with. Now, good company can bring light into darkness, right? But I'm going to tell you something. You have to be very, very strong in your walk, because temptation is always, what does it say about Hasatan? He's like a lion roaming about, a roaring lion, lion, roaming about, seeing who he can devour. He's always at that door, always waiting. So until you get to the point where you can say no, no, definitely no, then keep away from those who make you say yes. Okay? It's very easy to corrupt you. Tim, hi.
It's backwards.
Okay, Tim.
2 Corinthians 6:14. Do not become unequally yoked with unbelievers, for what partnership has righteousness and lawlessness, and what fellowship has light with darkness?
What does that verse mean?
Don't hang out with the wrong crowd.
Don't hang out with the wrong crowd. Don't yoke yourselves. And guys, this goes for marriage too. We've got two couples in here who were believers before they got married, and they're beautiful marriages. Do they have their ups and downs? Yes, they do, because it's marriage, and it's learning to live with each other, and it's going to be, you're going to go through a little bump here and there for the first 6 years. That's the norm, okay? That's the trying. That's the testing. But when you get through it, guess what? It's still going to be rough, okay?
It gets easier, but
But you, if you're married to your best friend, and that's what both of you couples did, you married your best friend, the one who loves you and wants to guide you and direct you in the right direction. So you've got to do the same thing in your friendships, in your partnerships, everything.
Work.
You got to put in the work. That's right. Nothing comes easy, does it? But you've got to watch the crowd you're hanging with. Watch. I'm going to tell you something. If you're moving and you're moving to an area, be careful where you're moving, right? I mean, if it's an area known for thievery or for drugs or for, if it's right next door to a bar, you might not want those people hanging out in your yard, right? So we have to be careful where we're going to move, where we're going to live, because when you have children, and most of you do, those kids are going to be seeing the behavior of these people. You don't want that. Okay. Seth.
Psalms 141, 3-5. O you who has set a guard for my mouth, watch over the door of my lips, and let not my heart be inclined to evil. Practice deeds of wrongness with men working wickedness, and let me not eat of their delicacies. Let the righteous one smite me, or reprove me in loving commitment. It is oil on my head. Let my head not refuse it. Let my prayer is still against their evil deeds.
Guys, if you're hanging out, look, you can't choose a workplace where there's not going to be grumbling. I can tell you that. It doesn't matter how perfect the people are there. There's going to be grumbling. There's going to be someone who has to, small mouth, so-and-so this and so-and-so that. You're going to have that, right? So what should we do? Exactly what Psalms is saying. This should be our daily prayer. Put a guard on my ears, put a guard on my lips, put a guard on my heart. What you're going to see as you walk out Torah day after day after day is you're going to begin to hear that stuff, and you will have the words to respond to it. Now, they don't want to hear it. I'm going to tell you, your friends, the people you work with, they're not going to want to hear it. But Yah's going to guide you, and he's going to guard you too in the words that you speak. Right, Seth?
I get reproved by Benito constantly.
Really?
Yep. Because I claim I do this and all this stuff, but I do speak evilly, and I do speak perversely.
It's a wall.
But it's cool because he knows how I'm supposed to be. He knows what I'm believing, and he corrects me.
Well, we need to give Benito a raise.
wow.
No, but it's pretty cool because he doesn't. Hey, he messages with me. Hey, you want support? But I'm like, nah. But it's good to have him around and people like that.
So that's what we should surround ourselves. Someone who's going to make you accountable for everything that proceeds from your mouth, every action you take, guys. And what Seth is saying here is, look, your walk. It's a walk. Every day it's a walk. Every day it's a trial. And everybody's watching you, Grant. And everybody's watching Dennis. And everybody's watching Val and Tiffany and Charles and Tim and Teddy and Bailey. They're watching every one of us, guys. Valerie. They're watching you. But, huh?
The Father's watching us.
Abba
too.
Yah he has eyes that are always on us. He always knows what we're doing. So, are we going to walk it out perfect? No, we're not. We're going to stumble. We're going to fall. But the point is, we are trying our best. We are trying our best. I was talking to a very old friend a couple of days ago, and he's a very Christian friend, and he's a very Christian preacher friend who went through seminary. And he's still saying, there's no way you can walk out the law. That's not what Deuteronomy says. It's not what Hebrews says. It says, in Philippians, it says, the law is not too hard. It's not too high. It's not too low that we cannot do it. What does Yahusha say? He says, take on my yoke. It's light. Why is it light? Who are you yoked with? The master. You're yoked with him. Who's going to carry the load? He will. If I'm going to be yoked to someone, I want it to be Yahusha. He's my hero. Okay. And here we go. Verse 4. Any questions anybody want to add to? So for our live streamers, we have got quite a few teachers that we're following in this classroom. And so I've told everyone, look, if you've got something to bring up that's from another teacher, bring it up. Because we test the spirits, right? We always test the spirits. 1 John tells us to do that. Before we open our mouth and speak it, we've tested it. And therefore, we hold ourselves accountable. So, yes, sir.
That goes to show you, if you take the yoke of the world, the fleshly needs and stuff, it's going to be heavy. And no way to compare it with taking on his needs and how we're supposed to be walking and things in the spirit. We'll be all right.
Well, and think about this too, Seth. If you take on the yoke of the world, which you're yoked to one or the other. You're either yoked to the world or you're yoked to Yahusha. One's going to be stronger than the other. And the world's going to drag you because you're yoked together. If you've ever seen a team of oxen work or a team of donkeys, Teddy, maybe not a team of donkeys. Don't look at me. So Teddy, when you've got two animals yoked together, one can drag the other one where he wants to go, can he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do what he wants to do.
Yeah. So, got to be careful who you're yoked to. Thanks, Teddy, for that strange look. I like your haircut, though.
That's what I was gonna say. Good
Nice haircut. Verse 4. And when Moshe heard what Korah was saying, and what did Korah just say? He said, enough of you. He's talking to Moshe and Ahiran. Enough of you. We don't want any more of you. You know, it's like, who died and made you king over all of us? This is what he's saying. Who do you think you are that you've been elevated above all of us? We should all. Why do you lift yourselves above the assembly of Yah? That's what he's saying. Moshe heard this and he fell on his face.
Who did they follow out of Egypt?
They followed Moshe.
Duh.
Yeah, they followed
And
Moshe.
here they are.
Yes. And he spoke to Korah and all his company, saying, tomorrow, and I can see him on his face, and he's like, Father, use my mouth, guard my lips. Let me say only what you want me to say. He said, tomorrow morning, Yahweh will make known who is his and who is set apart, and bring him near to him, and let him bring near to him the one whom he chooses. So he's like, tomorrow morning, Clark, y'all's going to choose. It's going to be his choice, and everyone will see this. He said, do this. Take fire holders, Korah, and all your company. Put fire in them and put incense in them before Yahweh tomorrow. And it shall be that the one whom Yahweh chooses is the set apart one. Enough of you, sons of Levi. He's getting a little bit mad now, isn't he? He says, enough of you. You said enough of me and Ahiran? Enough of you. He said, and then Moshe said to Korah, hear now, you sons of Levi. Is it little to you that the Elohim of Israel, the Elohim, the God is what he's saying, the God of Israel, the Elohim of Israel, has separated you from the congregation of Israel to bring you near to himself to perform the service of the dwelling place of Yah and to stand before the congregation to serve them, and that he has brought you near to himself and you and all your brothers and sons of Levi with you, yet you seek the priesthood as well. Guys, what Korah and his sons and brothers are doing is as close to being a priest as you can get. They're handling, the tribe of Kohath had to be very blessed because they were handling the Holy of Holies things, the very special things. He said, therefore, you and all of your company are set against Yahweh. And Ahiran, what is he that you grumble against him? He's like, what has he done? He hasn't done anything to you. And Moshe sent to call Dathan and Abiram. Now, these two guys are the ones who were with Korach, right? They lived next door. They were some of the ones that came to Moshe in the beginning. So he sent to call Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, but they said, we're not coming there. We're not going to come. And this is what they said. Listen, I mean, just the arrogance and the twisting. It's like Valerie said, jealousy is such a green-eyed monster. They so twist everything here. They said, is it little that you have brought us up out of a land? Listen, flowing with milk and honey, to kill us in the wilderness, that you would also seize total rule over us? Guys, what land did they just reject?
Slavery.
Haven't they already sent? Didn't y'all go over?
Oh, yeah, into the,
Okay.
yeah.
They just rejected the land flowing with milk and honey last week.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
When they got to the border, they went in. Oi, they saw what? Big men. Let's call them giant men. And in their own eyes, same thing we read a while ago, in their own eyes, they appeared as grasshoppers to these big men, right? Okay, so they just rejected the land flowing with the milk and honey. Look at Exodus 2. I just want you to see how much in love with this land they were. Oh my gosh, they just loved Egypt. They loved it so much. Verse 23, it came to be after these many days that the sovereign of Mitzrayim died, and the children of Israel groaned because of the slavery, and they cried out, and their cry came up to Elohim because of the slavery. And Elohim heard their groaning, and Elohim remembered his covenant with Abraham, Yishak, and Yaakov. And if you go further into the book of Yasher, into chapter 72, you're going to see what was actually going on in Egypt. And it was horrible. They were killing small children. Literally, I know, Tiffany's face goes, she gets angry every time she hears this story. But the Pharaoh had some kind of skin disease, and they were slaughtering young babies to put their blood on his skin. They were taking the Israelite babies. If say Dennis was one of the Hebrew workers and he didn't meet his quota that day on the bricks, what did they do? They went to his house and they took his baby and they put his baby in the wall in place.
Didn't they make him do it?
They sure did. I'm sorry, they did. They took him and his baby and they made him mortar his child into the wall in place of the brick that he should have made. And they could hear the cries of the babies in the wall. So here's the land flowing with milk and honey that Abiram and Dathan are talking about. You took us from the land flowing with milk and honey to this wilderness to kill us?
But they were thinking about what they had eaten over in Egypt, garlic and leeks and all that, and not forgot about the slavery, just in the land.
It wasn't but a few months.
Yes.
I mean, this has just been a few months
But
since
how
they
quickly
left
they
Egypt.
forget what their eyes were on, and in the land where they were sent to spy out, what did they see? The giants. They didn't see
The beauty of the
Beauty.
land. But guys, they didn't have faith in Yah. is what they didn't have. They didn't have faith that Yahweh was going to save them. They'd already seen what he did in Egypt. But this is one thing that I didn't think about, but when they were in Egypt, the Levites didn't work.
No.
They didn't work. So all of the tribes worked except for the Levites, and I hadn't thought about that until just now. But the Levites stayed in their tents, and they didn't go and do the slave labor. So it may not have been as bad for the Levites as it was for the other 12 tribes, or the other, actually, 11 tribes at that time. And Moshe, okay, we've already talked about that. Also, we're in verse 14. Also, you have not brought us into a land flowing with milk and honey, nor given us inheritance of fields and vineyards. Would you bore out the eyes of these men? We're not coming up. He's like, it doesn't matter what you do. We're not coming to you. This is total rejection of authority that has been placed over him by who? Yah. We saw a while ago. Yah put Moshe over Ahiran and Miriam, and over everyone below them. And Moshe became very displeased and said to Yahweh, do not respect their offering. I have not taken one donkey from them, nor have I done harm to any of them. And we're going to see this same thing repeated by Shemuel in 1 Samuel 12 today. We're going to read that. Then Moshe said to Korach, tomorrow you and all your company shall be there before Yahweh, you and they and Ahiran. And take each one his fire holder, and you shall put incense in it, and let each one bring his fire holder before Yahweh. 250 fire holders, and you and Ahiran, each one with his fire holder. He's making it sound like it's going to be fun, doesn't it? I mean, Moshe almost makes it sound like it's going to be fun. Bring your fire holder. We're going to all come together with the lights. And so each one took his fire holder and put fire in it and laid incense on it and stood at the door of the tent of appointment with Moshe and Ahiran. So they've all gathered in front of the tabernacle door, right? And Korah assembled all the congregation against them at the door of the tent of appointment. And then the esteem of Yahweh appeared to all the congregation. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe and to Ahiran, saying, separate yourselves from the midst of this congregation, and let me consume them in a moment. Yah's like, the whole congregation is now gathered against Moshe. And again, Moshe and Ahiran fell on their faces and said, O Elohim of the spirits of all flesh, when one man sins, are you wroth with the whole congregation? I mean, Yahweh was fixing to do away with the whole congregation, except for Ahiran and Moshe. They were fixing to be gone. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the congregation, saying, move away from around the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. So Moshe rose up and went to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel followed him. And he spoke to the congregation, saying, please, turn away from the tents of these wrong men. Do not touch whatever belongs to them, lest you be consumed in all their sin. These guys are so bad. Don't even touch their belongings. Don't be near them. Move away. Guys, listen, this is what our heart should be telling us if we're in an area or we're in a group of people that we shouldn't be with. Get up. Get out. Move away from this area. Danger, danger, right? So then they moved away from around the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. And Dathan and Abiram came out and stood at the door of their tents with their wives and their sons and their little children. And Moshe said, by this you know that Yahweh has sent me to do all these works, that they are not from my own heart. If these die as all men do, or if they are visited as all men are visited, then Yahweh has not sent me. So if they just die a normal death, this is not, I'm not the leader, okay? But, as Seth likes to say, this is a big word here, but if Yahweh creates what is unheard of, and the earth opens its mouth and swallows them up with all that belongs to them, and they go down alive into Sheol, then you shall know that these men have scorned Yahweh. And it came to be as he ended speaking. Guys, listen, he said this, and immediately the earth opens up and boom, they're gone. Can you imagine? It came to be as soon as he ended speaking all these words that the ground under them split apart, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up with their households, and all of the men with Korah with all their goods. So they and all those with them went down into Sheol, and the earth closed over them, and they perished from the midst of the assembly. Can you even imagine standing there and witnessing this, hearing the screaming? First of all, when the earth opens up, you're going to hear a loud booming and scraping and creaking, because it's literally what are those called? The layers, the plates. The plates are shifting. Thanks, Grant. Said you get a grant on that, not Grant. That was smart. So the plates are shifting, and you're going to hear the shifting of the plates and the moving. So you're hearing this. It opens up, and in go all these people screaming. And Sheol is what?
The grave.
It's the grave. It's just the grave. They went into the earth, into the grave. Now, I'm going to ask you a question and see if anyone knows this. Did Korah's family go in with him?
Yes.
Let's go to 1 Chronicles 9:19. So, Korah's family did not go in with him.
They did?
No, but Dathan and Abiram's family
Somebody's
did.
family went in.
Yeah, the two Reubenite men, their families went in.
So Korah's didn't?
No.
AJ 57.
In 1 Chronicles 9:19, or 1 Chronicles 9:19.
Chronicles what?
9:19.
Page 857.
Well, and I'm in 2 Chronicles. I'm like,
There's two of them.
mine's not reading right here. I don't know why. Who stole my Chronicles? 1 Chronicles 9:19. I'm gonna start at 18. And up till they were gatekeepers for the camps of the children of Levi at the sovereign's gate on the east, and Shalom, son of Kor, son of Elisaphat, son of Korah, and his brothers from his father's house, the Korahites, that's the Korahites from Korah, were over the work of the service, guards of the thresholds of the tent, and their fathers had been guards at the entrance to the camp. His sons, possibly even his wife, survived. Guys, listen. Just because daddy or mom are doing the wrong thing doesn't mean the family's going to follow, right? We love, we honor our spouse, and women are commanded to respect them and to do everything that they're told to do, right? I mean, this is the way the household is set up. It's got to have order. But guys, if it's going against what Yah has instructed us to do, there's a place where you say no, okay? So there's a place where you go, look, I love you, I honor you, I respect you, but you just stepped over the line where this is Torah and that is of Satan. And I'm not going there with you. That's what Korah's family did. They stepped away from Korah and they left him standing there. So Korah's family survived, and they were still, look, his sin didn't go down to them. They were still keepers of the gate. There were still workers there.
So he got it. Korah.
Korah got gone,
But the family didn't.
but the family didn't.
Well, when Moshe said move out from them, maybe they made that choice.
They probably
Well,
ran.
They were like,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, they were like, see you, Dad.
Sorry.
Bye. Yeah, but they did. They stepped away. They didn't stand. Of course, where Korah was standing, he was there with the 250 leaders. So he wasn't at his tent, but neither was his family. And they had stepped away from the tent. So it's just very interesting to me that Yah knows our hearts. He does. I love the teaching by Steve Berkson on the heart's the matter. Listen, always the heart is the matter. What's in your heart?
Acts 5 is about, who was it? He sold his land and didn't give, the money.
Mm-hmm.
And he immediately died.
Mm-hmm.
His wife came in and the same thing happened. So that was a situation, Who were they?
It wasn't Priscilla.
No.
But I know the couple that you're talking about. It's really the only time they're actually mentioned.
Hananiah and Sapphira.
Yeah. They sold their house for like a good bit of money. And the thing is that they didn't have to give the whole amount to
No.
them. But they told him, this is everything we got.
They had made a pledge.
Yeah, they
Yes.
made a pledge that everything we sell this house for, we're gonna give to you.
And she followed right in with him,
Mhm.
and they both died immediately. I mean, it's a good, that if you
Yes,
don't honor what you made a pledge to him with.
that's right. That is right.
Really important.
Okay. So we are in verse 34. And all Israel who were round about them fled at their cry, for they said, lest the earth swallows us up. And a fire came out from Yahweh and consumed the 250 men who were offering incense. These were all leaders, guys. They were princes. They were, they were of high esteem in the tribes of Israel. 250. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, say to Eleazar, son of Ahiran, the priest, to pick up the fire holders out of the blaze, for they are set apart, and scatter the fire some distance away. So remove the fire holders, because they're set apart. They're special. But take all those ashes and the fire that's still, and let's get it out of the camp. Move it out of the camp. It's filled. It's defiled. The fire holders of these men who sinned against their own lives, let them be made into beaten plates as a covering for the slaughter place, because they brought them before Yahweh. Therefore they are set apart, and let them become a sign to the children of Israel. A sign for them to see with their eyes, because obviously they didn't remember with their head what just happened to Miriam. So let's give them a physical sign, right? So they can look and go, oh yeah, I remember whose fire holder that was. That was Teddy's. Sorry. Hi, Teddy. And Eleazar the priest took the bronze fire holders, which those who were burned up had brought, and they were beaten out as a covering on the slaughter place, a remembrance to the children of Israel that no stranger is who is not of the seed of Ahiran. Here, a stranger is of the seed of Ahiran, and I was going to pull up that Hebrew word this morning, but I had no internet from the time I got home last night till I talked to Seth this morning. I was like, do y'all have internet up there? Even my phone wasn't working. He was like, restart your phone. So I got internet at, what was it, 9 o'clock? It was like 7. Oh, I didn't get that message until later. And then I had company show up. But does anyone have the interlinear? Oh, I do. So I really wanted to see what the word is there. But the stranger here, I don't think is Ger. It's a stranger to the house of Ahiran. So anyone who's not of the house of Ahiran does not bring incense. So even if you were a Levite, if you weren't from the house of Ahiran, you didn't bring incense before Yah. So that they should not come near to offer incense before Yahweh and not be like Korah and his company, as Yahweh had said to him through Moshe. But all the congregation of the children of Israel, listen to this. I mean, I'm just like, I'm blown away by this. And it's probably why it's one of my favorites. This is like a bunch of bad kids that you just keep spanking, and they keep doing the same thing. I mean, you've got half of them are in timeout, and the rest of them still keep doing the same thing. They don't learn. Okay, so the children of Israel grumbled against Moshe and against Ahiran on the next day, saying, You, Moshe and Ahiran, you have killed the people of Israel. Oh, my goodness. Are you kidding me? Look at Deuteronomy 4:9. What had they just seen the day before?
Page 189.
Page
Land
189.
swallowed them up and you caught everybody on fire.
He saw the earth open its mouth, swallow up 2 whole families and Korah, and then he saw fire come down from the heavens and completely burn up like to ashes. 250 men. They saw this with their own eyes. Deuteronomy 4:9. Valerie, are you there?
Yes. Only guard yourself and guard your life diligently, lest you forget the words your eyes have seen. Words is capitalized. Unless they turn aside from your heart all the days of your life, and you shall make them known to your children and your grandchildren.
So the words that your eyes have what?
Seen.
Seen. So they just saw Yah in action. They saw his anger in action. They still didn't remember. What do you do at this point? I mean,
It was just the next day.
it was the very next day. It says,
So soon we forget.
whoops, I'm on the wrong page. Yeah,
And it shows how far the seed of negativity can go. Like it had already started with the first, and it
Yes.
stayed in this group of people. Like it had spread amongst them.
well,
Even though they weren't destroyed, they were
you're
still.
right, Val. I mean, it
in
said Korah literally had the whole congregation standing there before Moshe against Moshe and Ahiran. The whole congregation. Because y'all was going to wipe the whole thing out. It's like, okay, we'll just wipe them all out. Y'all step away. That's right. Redo. I obviously chose wrong. Yeah.
And that would have just left 2.
Yeah, it says that they grumbled against Moshe and Ahiran on the next day. The very next day. I don't even know what to say to that. And then they said, after they saw what Yah did to all these people, they said, you're the ones that killed Korah and you killed the 250. They didn't kill them. It was Yah's judgment, right? Okay. And it came to be when the congregation assembled against Moshe and against Ahiran that they turned toward the tent of appointment, and see, the cloud covered it, and the esteem of Yahweh appeared. Daddy's on the scene. Daddy is like, these kids, what are they doing? What are they doing? And Moshe and Ahiran came before the tent of appointment, and Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, arise from the midst of this congregation and let me consume them in a moment. And they fell on their faces. I think at this point they're ducking. I think that this is not even that
humble, they're
Moshe
ducking.
is the most humble upon men.
Yes.
I think they're ducking. They're like, oh, 1, 2, this is 3 strikes, 2 days, duck. But so Moshe said to Ahiran, take the fire holder and put fire in it from the slaughter place and lay incense on it and go. Hurry to the congregation and make atonement for them, for wrath has gone out from Yahweh, and the plague has begun. And Ahiran took it as Moshe commanded, and ran into the midst of the assembly, and saw the plague and had begun among the people, and he laid the incense in atonement for the people, and stood. So he stood between the living and the dead as a shield. Ahiran stood between the dead and the living, and the plague stopped. And those who died in the plague were 14,700, besides those who had died on account of Korah. This is an interesting number. If you boil this number down, what is it?
Oh,
13.
13. Remember,
Oh yeah.
Isaac was.
I think it represents the 13 tribes.
Oh, wow.
Because listen, Korah was from the tribe of Kohath. He was Levite. So there's Levites in this group. The whole congregation are who stood up against. It's just a thought.
And another take he had on it, he was saying at this moment the reason Aaron ran out with the fire holder, they had come out from under the covering of the blessing. They had separated themselves from Yahweh with their thoughts and their actions. And he
Wow.
was saying that was then they didn't he said that they don't speak of Hasatan from Genesis in the beginning, but not until I think it was Job he's mentioned,
Job,
and then
yes.
and then in the New Testament. So this was his way of showing us that leaves room for the enemy to come in. Once you separate yourself from Yahweh with this,
Wow.
this leaves room. That's when he was like, take the fire holder, go, hurry. Because they weren't under the covering anymore. They had turned away, and that allowed them to be taken over by the plagues.
That is
he was
amazing.
sending.
Okay.
I was, I
That's
was just
pretty
watching
cool.
that whole thing, and I was like, wait, I hadn't realized that Hasatan wasn't mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
and that this is how they explained those situations.
Listen, what does the word tell us? Hasatan doesn't have to come and tempt us.
Mm-mm.
We don't need.
We
We-
have our own evil desire.
Right.
That is the worst. Our worst enemy is our own desires and our own wicked heart. We don't need Hasatan. We're the problem. Our heart's the problem. Our wants. I want it.
That's where it started with Korach. Self.
He wanted to be the priest.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't in spirit; he was walking in self. We were
That's
talking
right.
about that.
Yes, he was
But that
walking in the
He had
flesh.
7 things, and that was
Yes.
the first of it, was self.
Yeah, it took him like step by
Self-esteem.
step to rebellion, which is what witchcraft.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
No,
that's
no.
interesting
Right
because
now.
Romans actually speaks about the authority that had been bestowed upon Moshe. Moshe had authority, and Korah wanted that authority, and he didn't want to be obedient to the authority that Moshe had. Wow. Poor Korah.
And it separates us from him. When we
It
start
does.
Thinking like that
Rebellion.
gets us out of those.
Well, and think about it. Can y'all be around grumbling? Grumbling's a sin. Can you be
It's
around
like
that?
darkness, it affects the whole, everything.
Yes, it does.
That's like when Yeshua was sitting here, he was sitting in the darkness of the world, but he was the light of the world.
That's right.
And so we sit here so we can live by that light.
Have y'all seen people, and this is really going to what you're talking about, Seth. Have y'all seen, you're in a big group of people, and in the room walks one person, and it's like the whole atmosphere changes. They can change it for the good, and everybody's like, what's that person got? Or they can change it for the bad.
Frequencies.
It is frequencies. It is, listen, it's their spirit. The spirit just brings in a dark cloud, like Seth is saying, or their spirit brings in lightness and brightness that everybody wants to be around. And so there's a difference in the way that people, so can you imagine the darkness that was running as the plague was spreading at that point? I mean, and they aren't under Yah's covering any longer. He's not protecting them. Wow, that is a good point. And there were other things that caused him.
You wrote them down, didn't you?
Yeah, well, it started with the seed of self, and then as Korah kept, as they kept going and telling others, it went to the rebellion of jealousy, the conspiring with others, conspiring against Yahweh, the cunning words that he spoke to Moshe, saying, that, I don't remember what he said, something.
Enough of you.
Yes, that part. And then the accusation, Hasatan at this point is influencing division and the death of that many people.
Yes.
All from one seed of self. He got out of the spirit and he continued in self that whole time.
Okay, now I like that point. Everything that happened that we just read about came from one jealous, unhappy, wanting to cause dissension in the group person. Korah did it all. He lived next door to the Reubenites. He got them unhappy. If you can get 2 people unhappy, 3 people unhappy, how many can you affect? Evidently, they affected the whole congregation.
So you have to be careful.
We have to be very, listen, you have to be careful what proceeds from your mouth. You don't want to start a bad seed anywhere.
And we can look at this as almost a foreshadowing of things that have happened even in our world. Like, I feel like these things are happening now. Like, as we try to speak and as we try to, people are saying things against Yahweh. So and he's telling us to come out of that, come out of what they're doing, because you don't want to be there when I consume them. Because those things are going to happen. I try to look at Moshe in this era the same way as now.
Well, and guys, listen, let's apply the song to today. Let's apply it to who's running our country.
Not only what's happening around us, but what's happening here in
Yes.
our congregation as well.
Yes.
We have to be careful
We do.
because the negativity, the grumbling, it does spread.
Yes, it does.
The positivity does also, though. Studying, all of it, it does. It does affect each and every one of us.
It affects the whole group. What affects one person affects the whole group. It does, and there's no doubt on that. Anybody else have anything to bring? What? Nothing? Y'all got nothing?
This is deep. I'm loving it.
Okay, good.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I love it.
We have our own entertainment over here, along with study.
Then he calls rebellion, and that was a big thing. Rebellion is as
Witchcraft.
witchcraft.
Yes. And he was, I guess whenever he was showing it to us, he was trying to show it to us in today's Isaac, so we call that religious. And he was talking about how even the fire holders, he was talking about having them beaten down to be the shelter to help everybody remember. The same thing is going to be with the swords. Like after, I guess.
In tribulation?
Yes, after the swords being beaten down to plowshares to remind us. I don't know, I just thought that was
A different use from killing to planting.
Yes.
Okay, verse 50. Then Ahiran returned to Moshe at the door of the tent of appointment, for for the plague had stopped. So everything that they did completely stopped the plague, settled Yah down. Yah was like, okay, 14,700, that's going to be plenty for today, right? Now we're in chapter 17, verse 1. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel and take from them a rod from each father's house. All their leaders, according to their father's house, 12 rods, write each one's name on his rod. Now this is going to be all of the tribes, except for who? Levi. And then Levi will make 13. And write Ahiran's name on the rod of Levi, for there is one rod for the head of each father's house. And you shall then place him in the tent of appointment before the witness, where I meet you. And it shall be that the rod of the man whom I choose buds. And I shall rid myself of the grumblings of the children of Israel, which they grumble against you. And Moshe spoke to the children of Israel, and all of their leaders gave him each a rod, for each leader according to their father's house. 12 rods and the rod of Ahiran was among their rods. Wouldn't you love to have seen these rods? I mean, they were all different, but it was a rod that they had selected. It represented their clan. It was important. You had to have a special rod. Teddy? Okay, so Moshe placed the rods before Yahweh in the tent of the witness. And it came to be on the next day that Moshe went into the tent of the witness and saw that the rod of Ahiran of the house of Levi had budded and brought forth buds and blossomed and brought forth ripe almonds. I mean, it went from just a rod to a tree. I mean, literally, it's got leaves, buds, and almonds on it. And that's pretty cool. And Moshe brought out all the rods from before Yahweh to all the children of Israel, and they looked, and each man took his rod. And Yahweh said to Moshe, bring Aharon's rod back before the witness to be kept as a sign against the rebels, so that you put an end to their grumblings against me, lest they die. Okay, I want us to look at some verses here, because what's this rod represent? Who is a branch? Yahusha. Isaiah 11, 1 through 13. Valerie, would you read?
Which one?
The Valerie.
Isaiah 11, 1 through,
Isaiah 11, 1 through 13.
okay, it's page 423. And a rod shall come forth from the stump of Yeshua, and a sprout from his root shall be fruitful. The spirit of Yahuwah shall rest upon him, the spirit of wisdom and understanding, the spirit of counsel and might, the spirit of knowledge and of the fear of Yahuwah. And shall make him breathe in the fear of Yahuwah, and he shall not judge by the sight of his eyes, nor decide by the hearing of his ears. But with righteousness he shall judge the poor, and shall decide with straightness for the meek ones of the earth, and shall strike the earth with the rod of his mouth, and slay the wrong with the breath of his lips. And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and trustworthiness the girdle of his waist. And a wolf shall sojourn with the lamb, and a leopard lie down with the young goat, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child leads them. And cow and bear shall feed, their young ones lie down together, and a lion eat straw like an ox. And the nursing child shall play by the cobra's hole, and the weaned child shall put his hand in the adder's den. They do no evil nor destroy in all my set apart mountain, for the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of Yahuwah as the waters cover the sea.
Oh, you know what? This is the set apart mountain. When you go to the first book of Adam and Eve, they were on a mountain. Tim, in the second book, didn't they come down from that mountain?
Not all at once, but slowly over time.
Slowly? Okay. I mean, it's just, that just kind of dawned on me as Valerie was reading. I was like, here's another mountain that they're living on. Okay, so guys, what Valerie's reading, and you're not done yet, but what she's reading is millennial. This is millennial language. So what did we eat prior to the flood? Nuts, berries,
Vegetables.
vegetables. we were vegan. We didn't do the animal thing then, right? So were the animals. They didn't eat and tear apart each other. They ate this. Lion, what does it say here? A lion shall eat, and a lion
Straw.
shall eat straw like an ox.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see a lion trying to eat straw today with those big old teeth. You probably can't even pluck it, right? I mean,
Wonder if they had teeth like that back then, that just, and they metamorphed over.
maybe they changed after the flood to what we see today. Okay, Valerie, keep going.
10. And in that day there should be a root of Yeshua, standing as a banner to the people. Unto him the nations shall seek, and his rest shall be esteemed.
Okay, who is Yeshi?
Yahuwah.
Okay, so Yeshi is Jesse. It's King David's father, which was in the lineage
That's right.
of Yahusha. So this is what he's talking about. In that day there shall be a root of Yeshi,
And that's
an offspring, an heir, a child. Okay.
coming through him.
Mm-hmm.
11. And it shall be in that day that Yahuwah sets his hand again a second time to recover the remnant of his people who are left from Asher and from Mizraim, from Pathros and from Cush, from Elim, from Shinar, from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. How far do you want me to go?
Through 13.
Okay. And he shall raise a banner for the nations, and gather the outcasts of Israel, and assemble the dispersed of Yehudah from the four corners of the earth. And the envy of Ephraim shall turn aside, and the adversaries of Yehudah be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Yehudah, and Yehudah not trouble Ephraim.
I long for that day.
Come to
Don't y'all? I mean, bring us back home. That's what the song Zion that we sang about earlier is all about. He's going to gather his children back home. He's going to bring us from the four corners of the world. He's just going to bring us from Mizraim, from Cush, from Africa, from America, from Papua New Guinea, Europe. He's going to bring us from all the four corners of the earth. It's going to be a glorious day. And then he's going to raise a banner for the nations. Gather the outcasts. Guys, that's what we are. We're definitely outcasts. We don't fit in. This is not our home. We don't fit in here.
It says not to not be of the world.
We aren't of the world, are we? The world doesn't understand us, and they really don't like us. And I don't think my friend's going to talk to me anymore after yesterday, because I basically got a take care message. Won't be seeing me again. So, guys, the world doesn't want to hear truth. They don't want to hear it.
They want their ears to be tickled.
They want, Sass, you're right. They want their ears to be tickled. You can't go on film looking like what Bailey just did to your hair. Huh. Okay.
I don't understand.
They don't understand. They didn't understand Yahusha.
No.
They didn't know him when he came. But the second time, guess what? The Yahudim, they will know him. They will know when he comes back. They will beat their chest.
I was reading this morning, they were in somewhere in scripture where it's saying their ears will be tickled for whether their manifestation was what they want. You know what I mean? Would fit their needs for their wants or whatnot. And that's not, and they're gonna hide themselves from the truth.
Wow.
That's
But before Yahushua comes back, they have to do this. They have to declare that he was king. And guess what we're seeing? That he wasn't king. He didn't come here as king the first time. He was the Messiah. That's what they've got to declare before he comes back the second time. He tells us that in Scripture. He says, before I set foot back on the earth, the Yehudim will have to declare, Baruch atah Adonai. Blessed be he who comes in the name of Yahweh. And that's what they're going to have to say. And they're going to be saying it about who? About Yahusha. Isn't that beautiful? When we hear that, we better get ready, right? We just better get ready. Do y'all know where I was? Okay, we've got some more verses. Jeremiah 23, 5 through 8. And I'm going to turn this around.
See, the day is coming, declares Yeshua. When I shall rise for David a branch of righteousness, and a sovereign shall reign and act wisely, and shall do right ruling and righteousness in the earth.
Okay, so this is your, I'm not stopping you. Don't stop. Are those glasses bad? Well, okay, hold on just a second. Okay, so the days are coming, declares Yahweh, when he raises for David a branch. David is the son of who?
Jesse.
Jesse. And it's a branch of what? Righteousness. Do you see how beautiful? I love the way Chuck Missler puts it. This is an integrated, this book, from the front to the back, it's integrated. It just flows. The front's linked to the back's linked to the middle, the middle's linked everywhere. I mean, it's just one big book that every bit of it, you can trace it back and forth. You don't need commentaries. Who needs a commentary? We don't need someone else to tell us what the Bible says. We don't need it. We've got the Bible.
It explains itself.
It explains itself fully, and we're going to see that in Revelation this afternoon. It explains itself. We don't have to do a lot of searching, though. For some of the history, we have to do some searching, don't we?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, with the books they've removed, we have to search for those, right?
Yeah.
I hate that they removed those books because they stole so much truth. But y'all allowed it,
There's a
guys.
reason.
Okay, Leanne, I'm sorry I stopped you.
Therefore, see, the days are coming, declares Yeshua, when they shall.
Okay, and it is Yahweh.
Oh, it is Yahweh, okay. See. And they
Okay,
shall say no more, as Yahweh lives, who brought up the children of Israel out of the land of misery.
where are you?
On 7.
Skip 6.
Okay, you need to read 6, yeah.
In his days. Yeah, who, you need to go? Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm just gonna put it on my phone so I can read it.
In his days Yehudah shall be saved, and Israel dwell safely. And this is his name whereby he shall be called Yahweh, our righteousness. Therefore see, the days are coming, declares Yahweh, when they shall say no more, as Yahweh lives, who brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Mizraim. But as Yahweh lives, who brought up and led the seed of the house of Israel out of the land of the north, and from all the lands where I have given them, and they shall dwell on their own soil.
Guys, when Yahusha comes back the second time, what's he come back as?
King.
He comes back as a king with what? Rod of iron. He's not coming back as a suffering servant, which is what he came as the first time. He came as Joseph the first time. The second time, he comes back as King David, right?
Our spiritual king.
Our spiritual king. He will be king. He will rule over everything. He's not coming back as a high priest. He's our high priest right now. But we will have high priests on earth that are taking care of what he's doing right now. And they're going to do it well, aren't they? I'm ready. Okay. And the children of Israel spoke to Moshe, saying, and I'm in verse 12, see, we shall die. We shall perish. We shall all perish. You know, these no truer words were never spoken, were they? Because not one of these people who is speaking will enter into the promised land. They're not going to go there. They will die. So they're saying it right here, aren't they? They're saying we're going to die. They said it in the beginning during the lesson last week. They said if we go in there, we're all going to die. They'll die. They won't get to go in there. They're going to die before they get there. Because they rejected what Yah had for them. Guys, listen, that was a lesson for everyone in this room. If Yah's got something for you, accept it. Believe and trust in him. Belief is an action word. Okay, you can go to Hebrews and we see that through Abraham's belief, he left his home. Through his belief, he offered up Isaac. Through belief, Noah built that big, huge, giant ship that was square and floated. And then he put all the animals on it. Through belief, we act. We don't sit there and wait. It would be like saying, through belief, thou planted a garden and waited for it. waited for it to weed itself and waited for it to be harvested by itself. You have to go out there and work it, don't you? And guys, today is a day to be working. If you believe this. Believe that we're very close to the end of days. I don't know when it is going to be. And I don't want to be accused of setting dates because I'm not. But we're very close. And even if we're 30 years away, even if we're 60 years away, even if we're maybe 9 years away, we've got family, we've got friends, we've got people we meet in the streets. I had a guy drop by the house this morning. He just dropped by unannounced. I was still sitting in my chair studying and reading and kind of caught me off guard because I wasn't dressed yet. But I got to witness to him. And we ended up carrying on a conversation. I look like an Indian wrapped in my blanket. How? So, yeah, how? So, we never know. We never ever know when we're going to have the opportunity to witness. But guys, if you get the opportunity, you better take it.
Be ready in season and out of season.
In season and out of season, because that one person may need exactly what you have to say at that exact moment.
That's so true.
You may be the one that has been sent to them. Okay, we're in chapter 18, verse 1. And Bethany just had 2 wisdom teeth cut out. I'm not going to ask her to do that. Dennis, would you like to read?
Sure.
Okay, would you read 18 and go 1 through 7?
And Yahweh said to Ahiran, you and your sons and your father's house with you are to bear the crookedness against the set apart place, and you and your sons with you are to bear the crookedness against your priesthood.
Hold on just a second. Little Val said, of everything throughout this Torah portion, this verse spoke to her, and I was like, this verse right here, it spoke to you. I'm going to turn the camera around just for, do you mind? Do you mind? Because it's coming. Okay. It's so coming. Okay, so Val, how did this verse speak to you? Because once you explained it, I'm like, oh my goodness, yes, it's very spiritual.
It made me realize that I'm responsible for the temple that he's dwelling in now, my body, the things I take in, the things I allow myself to see, to hear. All of these things go together as one in order to live in this state, to stay in the spiritual, which kind of goes with the rest of the Torah portion. But it made me realize that I needed to change some things that I was doing to the temple of Yah.
Because you're destroying it.
Yes.
There are things that we do to destroy the temple, or we defile the temple.
Yes.
Like if we put things that are not food in that temple, it's defiling it. If we listen, you can't watch commercials during primetime TV anymore without allowing porn into your eye sockets, your eye gates. It's awful. What's on TV now is awful. Someone said the other day they think that the TV is the beast. I think they're right. So you're right. This is a very, very good verse. We read over so many verses, but when a verse sticks out like that, we need to make sure that there's somebody else out there that needed to hear that. They needed to hear that it was important to you, and it's going to be important to someone else. And it became important to me when you said that. I was like, yeah, we're responsible. He's put us over this temple.
Why our heart's affected, our blood pressure, I mean, all the things that, even on this earth,
Yes.
it separates us from the spiritual things he has for us.
It does.
Because we're doing that.
It does. Oh, hello. Wait,
Stabbed in.
wait, little boy, you gotta sit there because you're gonna read next. I do what I want.
No,
You
I
sit
don't.
there.
I do not.
You sit there and you're gonna read.
I'll show you.
Okay, go ahead, Dennis. You're
Verse
giving it.
2. But bring with you the brothers of the tribe of Levi too, the tribe of your father, to join you and serve you while you and your sons are with you before the tent of the witness.
You know what? In joining up with what Val was saying about this temple and we're responsible for it, guys, if you're reading this along with what Val said, It means that the assembly here, we're responsible for each little temple that is sitting in this room. We're accountable. We need to make sure that if we see our brother or our sister falling or choosing bad, making bad choices, that we're quick to tell them, hey, look, I love you. Let me tell you what you need to be not doing. And that's like listening to this rap music. Not all rap music, just the ones with the bad words, huh? There's some Hebrew rap music.
Well, would you
I
listen
found
to
some
us
this
sing
morning,
next to
it's
Yeshua? Because this is his temple, this is where.
That's exactly right. Do what, Lynn?
No, it was me. I said I found some Hebrew rap music this morning. It was great. I was looking for one about Valerie's favorite song, and I couldn't find it, and that came up. It was great.
There's. I think he's Orthodox. That.
Shahu.
Yeah, I like him. Okay, I'm sorry. I just had to throw that in because, guys, listen. We are all responsible for one another. I mean, it's not just you responsible for what goes on with that temple. It's everybody in this room who calls himself family. We're all responsible for what goes on in your temple, Tiffany, in Bailey's temple, in Teddy's temple,
In Tim's temple.
in Timmy's temple,
Timmy's
the temple of Timmy. Okay. That sounded like a radio broadcast. Okay, Dennis, I won't stop you again. Okay, maybe.
Verse 3, and they shall guard your charge and the duty of all the tent, but they do not come near the furnishings of the set apart place and the slaughter place, lest they die, both they and you. And they shall be joined with you and guard the duty of the tent of appointment for all the service of the tent, but a stranger does not come near you. And you shall guard the duty of the set apart place and the duty of the slaughter place, so that there be no more wrath upon the children of Israel. And see, I myself have taken your brothers, the Levites, from among or from the midst of the children of Israel, a gift to you, given by Yahweh to do the service of the tent of appointment. But you and your sons with you are to guard your priesthood for all matters at the slaughter place and behind the veil, and you shall serve. I have given you the priesthood as a gift for service, but the stranger who comes near is put to death.
So listen, Yah is very specific in how he wants things done, isn't he? He doesn't say, well, you can do it this way or you can let, Tom or Harry come up and help you every once in a while. No stranger who is not a Levite and literally not of Ahiran gets to help with this. It would be bad for them. And so the Levites are a gift to the Kohanim. Yah is giving them. I mean, it'd be like giving you a bunch of people and saying, this is for you to use and use them how you need to in the temple service. That's just so cool. Okay, Grant. Yeah, there you go. Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
See, I'm going to take that shirt and rip it up before class is over. Okay. Chapter 18, verse 8 through... Go 8 through 16.
Yes, ma'am. And Yahuwah spoke to Ahiran, and see, I myself have also given you the charge of my contributions, all the set-apart gifts of the children of Israel. I have given them to you for the anointing and to your sons as a law forever. This is yours of the most set-apart gifts. From the fire, all their offerings, all their grain offerings, and all their sin offerings, and all their guilt offerings, which they render to me, are most set apart for you and your sons. Eat it in the most set apart place. Every male eats it. It is set apart to you. This also is yours, the contribution of their gift. with all the wave offerings of the children of Israel. I have given them to you, and your sons and daughters with you as a law forever. Everyone who is clean in your house eats it. All the best of the oil and all the best of the new wine and the grain. Their first fruits which they give to Yahuwah, I have given them to you. The first fruits of all that is in their land, which they bring to Yahuwah, are yours. Everyone who is clean in your house eats it. All that is dedicated in Israel is yours. Everyone opening a womb of all flesh, which they bring to Yahuwah, whether man or beast, is yours. But to ransom, you shall ransom the firstborn of man, and the firstborn of unclean beast you ransom. And ransom their ransomed once when one new moon old, according to your valuation, 5 shekels of silver, according to your shekel of the set apart place, which is 20 gerahs.
Okay, Charles, how much is a gera?
I don't remember. It's in the back of our scriptures.
I was hoping that you could just spout it off. But
I don't remember. It's been a while since
okay, I'm gonna go ahead and let's see. Val, you want to read down through? We're not going to read all the rest of this, but while Charles is coming up with how much
is 1/20 of a shekel.
it's 1/20 of a shekel. So how much is a shekel?
20 gerahs.
A light shekel or a heavy shekel?
A temple shekel.
There's, but does it say that? Is it a
Be
light
shekel
shekel or a heavy shekel?
No, it's a temple shekel. Heavy.
0.403 ounces of gold or silver.
Okay.
11.4 grams in the metric weight equivalent. 15 light shekels.
15 light shekels. Really? So point
That's what
four.
it says.
So if it's 0.4 ounces in today's value, it would be about
I don't know what gold's worth. Right?
about $450.
Is gold only $900 an ounce? Or $1,000 an ounce?
Oh,
Oh, it's higher than that.
Gold is
No.
19.3 grams per cubic milliliter.
Wow.
okay. Wait.
Correct.
So gold is about 1,800 times 0.4. So it's $720 is what it would be worth in gold. Okay.
So it's about $1,400 an ounce right now?
It's about 1,900.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. It's about
I knew it was
700.
higher than,
That's a
yeah.
lot.
Wait, 0.4 ounces or 0.4?
0.4 ounces.
Oh, 0.4. So it'd be $72.
I'm so confused, but okay.
It'd be $72 to redeem the firstborn.
Okay.
So that's
Oh, yeah,
that's about what it is.
what we
So
were
it's
saying
gone up,
before.
and before it was like about 30 something, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So guys, that's just the firstborn that opens the womb of a woman or an animal. Okay. So how many firstborns in here?
Right here.
Me, Val, not Seth,
Dennis?
Who raised his hand?
Dennis. Okay. So we would have to be bought and paid for.
$72?
Mine too.
So $72. That's all we're worth. Okay.
Wow.
I think it's worth it.
I think it is too.
So she was
Hey, you want me to read to where?
Read down through 20.
But the firstborn of a cow, or the firstborn of a sheep, or the firstborn of a goat, you do not ransom. They are set apart. Sprinkle their blood on the slaughter place, and burn their fat as an offering made by fire for a sweet fragrance to Yahweh. And their flesh is yours, as the wave breast and as the right thigh, it is yours. all the contributions of the set apart gifts, which the children of Israel present to Yahweh. I have given to you and your sons and daughters with you as a law forever. It is a covenant of salt forever before Yahweh, with you and your seed with you. And Yahweh said to Ahiran, you are not to have an inheritance in their land, nor have any portion in their midst. I am your portion and your inheritance among the children of Israel.
Okay, guys, so this is what does salt do? First of all, go to Leviticus 2:13.
Seasons.
It does season.
I like that.
It preserves. It brings flavor, doesn't it?
I'm hungry.
I'm too. And, okay, in 2:13 it says, in season with salt, every offering has salt with it. Every offering of your grain offering, and do not allow the salt of the covenant of your Elohim to be lacking. From your grain offering, with all your offerings, you bring salt. So with your meat offering, you bring salt. With your grain offering, you bring salt. What is it going to do to the meat? It's going to preserve it a little bit. It's going to preserve the grains a little bit. Okay, also, I want you to turn to 2 Chronicles 13:5.
I have one after that one.
Oh, good. We might get to you. No, I'm kidding. I'm picking.
Where are we? I'm sorry, I was thinking.
2 Chronicles 13:5. And it's on page 889. Do you not know that Yahweh Elohim of Yisrael has given the reign of Yisrael to David forever, to him and his sons, by a covenant of salt? So when a salt covenant was made between two people, or, I'm sorry, do what?
No, go ahead.
But when a salt covenant was made, it's a forever covenant. This is sealing the covenant. And he made it with David. Who is David's lineage? Yahusha. There you go.
So all of that is very, very important
Yes.
because of the salt covenant. You're protected when you come into the household. So when
That's
we
a
come into the
threshold
household
covenant.
of Yahusha,
That's a threshold covenant.
okay, it's a salt threshold.
No, it's a threshold covenant. So there's a salt covenant, then there's a threshold covenant. So the threshold covenant is all about when you're invited into a house, then you've got protection for 3 days or 4 days, something like that, 3 or 4 days, that you've got protection from the enemy outside. I'm going to protect you as long as you're inside my house because you stepped over my threshold. I invited you in.
Well, Yahusha invites us into Yahuwah invites us into his household.
Mhm.
So his obligation is to protect us.
That's right. Well, and that's what happened on Mount Sinai. There was a threshold covenant there. Don't come near it. I mean, he had to invite them up for them to be safe in entering Mount Sinai. There was a boundary put around it. It was his house. He calls it his mountain, his set apart place.
And then the salt preserves it. There's something intertwined all there, but this little brain ain't got it.
Well, what happens if salt loses its flavor? It's tasteless. It's good for nothing, right? That's what it says. So we want flavored,
And we are
tasty
the salt of the earth.
We are
We're
the
supposed
salt.
to be the salt of the earth.
We are the salt.
And if we lose our flavor, what good are we to?
That's what my verse was talking about.
Go ahead.
Mark 9:49 and 50. For everyone shall be seasoned with fire, and every offering shall be seasoned with salt. Salt is good, but if the salt becomes tasteless, how shall you season it? Have salt in yourself and be at peace among one another.
Ooh, have salt in yourself.
Mhm.
And guys, listen. This is the temple. Where's offerings going? Have salt in yourself. I like that.
So what is the salt? It's got to represent something.
It represents preservation of a
Right.
covenant.
Preservation for eternal life too.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Anything else? Anybody else? So the rest of this is really lining out the sacrifices that go to the Levites. So we're going to turn to, unless somebody wants to go over something, and you know you can,
Where are you going?
1 Samuel 11.
That's cool.
1 Samuel 11:14. Baby, do you want to read? Come up here, baby. I'm gonna get you to read the first 5 verses. Do you want to? You don't have to, babe. You want to? We're in chapter 11, verse 14. I'm going to get you to read down through verse 2. Is that okay? So you're going to read 11:14 down through 12:2 of 1 Samuel. You go for it.
And Samuel said to the people, "Come and let us go to Gilgal." And we knew the plain there. And all the people went to Gilgal, and there they set up the Shaul
Yes.
to reign before Yahuwah in Gilgal, and there they slaughtered Yahuwah, slaughterings of peace offerings before Yahuwah, and there Shaul rejoiced, and all the men of Israel very greatly. And Samuel said to all Israel, "Look, I have listened to your voice and all that you said to me, and I have set a sovereign over you. And now look, the sovereign is walking before you, and I am old and gray, and look, my sons are with you, and I have walked before you from my youth to this day."
You did perfect. Thank you so much. Very good. And there were some tough words in there.
Good job.
I'm so proud of you.
Sometimes I do.
So do y'all know where Gilgal was? It was part of the West Bank. It was east of Jericho. I think it's Palestinian territory today, I think. Seth, you want to take up from there?
So where we at?
3.
Sorry, I was in Romans.
Page 290.
I tell you what.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I was going to, in Deuteronomy 17, 14, and 15, Moshe says this.
Ooh.
That you were going to want to have a, let's see, hang on. 17, 14. When you come to the land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you, and shall possess it, shall dwell in it, you shall say, "Let me have a set sovereign over me, and like all the nations that are around me. You shall certainly set a sovereign over you, whom Yahweh your Elohim shall choose. Set a sovereign over you from among your brothers. You are not allowed to set a foreigner over you as well." So he was
prophesying.
Yeah, he had said
He's
that.
like, you get there, you're not going to want Yah as your king. You're going to want someone. That was Deuteronomy 17.
14 through 15.
That's good. That's a good reminder that, you know what, guys, there's nothing new under the sun, and nothing surprises y'all, right? Okay.
Look, here I am, witness against me before Yahuwah and before his anointed. Whose ox I have taken, whose donkey have I taken, or whom have I oppressed? Whom have I abused, or from whose hand I have received any bribe, with which to with which to blind my eyes? Then I restore it to you.
You know, guys, that's exactly what Moshe said to Yah. He said, I haven't taken one donkey from these people. I haven't taken anything. And yet they want to, be ugly to me. That's pretty much what he's saying. Same thing, Samuel. Samuel's as mad as Moshe was at what the people were doing, because Yah wasn't enough. He wasn't enough. They had to have a king that could see and touch and hear.
A ruler.
A ruler. That's
Yeah,
exactly what they
sovereign
wanted.
over.
Okay, keep going.
And they said, "You have not oppressed us or abused us, nor have you taken any bribe from anyone's hand." So he said to them, "Yahuwah is witness against you, and his anointed is witness today, that you have found naught in my hand." And they answered, He is witness. And Samuel said to the people, "It is Yahuwah who appointed Moshe and Aaron and who brought your fathers up from the land of Miriam. And now stand still, so that I judge you before Yahuwah concerning all the righteous acts of Yahuwah, which he did to you and to your fathers. When Yaakov had come to Miriam, and your fathers cried out from Yahuwah, then Yahuwah sent Moshe and Ahiran, who brought your fathers out of Miriam, and made them dwell in this place. But they forgot Yahuwah their Elohim, so he sold them into the hand of Sisera, commander of the army of Hatzor, and into the hand of the Philistines, and into the hand of the sovereign of Moab. And they fought against them. And they cried out to Yahuwah and asked, We have sinned because we have forsaken Yahuwah and served the Baals, and the Asherah. And now deliver us from the hand of our enemies, and we serve you. And Yahuwah sent Yerubbaal and Badon and Yiftah and Samuel, and delivered you out of the hand of your enemies round about, and you dwelt in safety.
Guys, what did they do? I mean, they turned their back on Yah, right? But what Seth just got through reading, they cried out to Yah, and they said, we've sinned. They repented. They turned back to Yah. They turned back they had forsaken Yah. They were serving the Baals and dancing around the Ashtoreth poles, right? Okay, this is exactly what 2 Chronicles 7 says. And my people upon whom my name is called. What is his name? Is it God? Is it Lord? What is it? It's Yahusha. It's Yahweh or Yahweh. So upon my people upon whom my name is called shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face. Guys, we've gotten away from that. Okay? We do need to be working and we need to be studying, but we've gotten away from humbling ourselves and praying, and we've got to get back to there. We need to be spending time praying. We need to be spending as much time in prayer with him as we do studying. Guys, it's important. Okay. And my people on whom my name is called shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their evil ways. Then I shall hear from the heavens, forgive their sin, and heal their land. When we repent, our land gets healed. What does that mean? We get rain in the season. Our ground is not hard. It will produce produce, corn, peas, squash. Valerie's got squash growing everywhere now. This is what happens when we repent. The land itself is healed. That, to me, is just amazing. And now my eyes are open and my ears attentive to the prayer of this place. God's prayer. We need to be in prayer constantly. Thank you for letting me interrupt you. Go ahead.
There you go. And when you saw that, I'm at 12, right? Yeah. And when you saw that Nahash, sovereign of the children of Ammon, came against you, you said to me, no, but let a sovereign reign over us, when Yahuwah, your Elohim, was your sovereign. And now, here is the sovereign whom you have chosen and whom you have asked. And see, Yahuwah has set a sovereign over you. If you fear Yahuwah, and you shall serve him and obey his voice, and not rebel against the command of Yahuwah, then both you and the sovereign who reigns over you shall follow Yahuwah your Elohim.
Hold on a second. There's one of those little words that's big. If you fear Yahweh, and if you serve him, and if you obey his voice, and if you do not rebel against the command of Yahweh, then both you and the sovereign who reigns over you shall follow Yahweh your Elohim. It's his grace that allows us to do that. It's his grace that lets us walk that out. I'm going to read the rest of this because I've got a few notes here. Do you mind? And then we're going to go into Romans. But if you do not obey the voice of Yahweh and shall rebel against the mouth of Yah, then the hand of Yahweh shall be against you as it was against your fathers. Who are their fathers? They're probably the ones that died out there in the wilderness. And now stand and see this great matter which Yahweh does before your eyes. Is today not the wheat harvest? What does that mean? Shavuot, that's exactly right. It's the day, listen, Shavuot, it's also the day that what? What happened on Mount Sinai?
You got the tablets, the commands.
The commandments were handed down. This is the day. This is one of the 3 days they're commanded to come back to Jerusalem, to gather back to Jerusalem. It's today, not the wheat harvest. Let me call to Yahweh so that he sends thunder and rain. Know then and see that your evil is great. What is he telling them? Everything that you just did. We just had this wonderful little ceremony ushering in King Shaul. What you've done is evil. You have chosen evil over Yah. This is what he's saying right here.
He allowed it to happen.
Oh yeah, because why,
Because
Valerie?
if people wanted it, we have free will. And so, he lets things happen when we just want it so badly. He'll let things happen in our life, and then we go, why'd you let that happen? Because he gives us free will.
Yes.
And he'll give us what we want sometimes, and it's not what we need.
Guys, usually what we want is not what we need. Okay, well,
He gives us what we
trying to get
need.
it around.
I'm through now.
Wow, perfect timing.
Yeah, good. Thank you. He gives us what we need, and his ways are way above ours.
Yeah.
They're so different from ours. He knows the ending before the beginning, so he knows what we need in our life. If we'll just, the people came together and they wanted a visible person that they could see and talk to.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't enough, and that's what we have to understand. He's enough for us today.
Yes.
Though we can't see him and we can't touch him. It's his spirit
Yes.
that needs to dwell within us, and his spirit cannot dwell within us in known sin. When we continue.
If we're not obedient.
They wanted a ruler, and they got one, but he's a flesh. You know what I mean?
That's right.
It's gonna, like the president today, like, we ask the rulers to rule over us.
Listen, the president we have today is obviously exactly what the country was crying for,
That's right.
or we would not have him. And this is a hard, listen, Romans is going to be a hard lesson to teach because it's going to be a hard lesson to teach because it's going to be a hard lesson to follow. Okay? So let's keep going. We may skip Romans today, okay? No, I'm kidding.
No.
So, and Shemuel called to Yahweh, and Yahweh sent thunder and rain that day. And all the people greatly feared Yahweh and Shemuel. And all the people said to Shemuel, pray for your servants to Yahweh, your Elohim, that we do not die, for we have added to all our sins this evil of asking for ourselves a sovereign. They must have been pleading and begging and asking and like pestering Yahweh and Shemuel until finally they got what they were begging for.
But now they're saying, we shouldn't have done this.
Well, because Shemuel just got through saying, what you've done is evil in Yah's eyes. And Shemuel said to the people, do not fear. You have done all this evil, only do not turn aside from following Yahweh, and you shall serve Yahweh with all your heart. Okay, so if they stopped right there and they did what they were being told to do, instead of, as they did at the boundary to the promised land, when he said, okay, yeah, you're right. You're not going into the promised land. And then they gathered together and they went, oh, we're going in now. Guys, we don't want to be obedient. Then we want to be obedient to what he isn't telling us to do. And then, then we don't want to be obedient again. I'm sorry, go ahead, Valerie.
Well, he tells us in the Ten Commandments in Exodus 20, don't put anybody above him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they did.
Yes.
They did not heed to what he said, that they'd just been told.
And that's like what we saw earlier. They saw the destruction of the 250 leaders in Korach and Dathan. They saw this destruction. They wanted to see a king. They could not see Yah. They couldn't see him. I don't know. It's just.
But we do the same thing.
We do the exact same thing.
No different.
Mm-mm.
We want a ruler over us. And we want help. Well, people want help from the government and all that stuff. You see what it's
Well,
the
we
same
should
thing
depend
that
on him.
was then today as it is then.
That's right.
Same thing.
Exactly.
That's exactly right. And do not turn aside after worthless matters, which do not profit or deliver, for they are worthless. Let me see, I've got Ezekiel 44 here. Let me just look at that real quick. Ezekiel 44:8.
Page 572.
Thank you.
Oh, yes. And you did not guard the charge that which you did not guard the charge of that which is set apart to me, but you have set others to guard the charge of my set apart place. I read this way too much because this is the zeal of Zadok. We're not going to read that today because I've already kept you on long enough in this Torah portion. Okay. So do not turn aside after worthless matters, which do not profit or deliver, for they are worthless. For Yahweh would not cast away his people for his great name's sake, seeing it has pleased Yahweh to make you his people. No matter what you've done, you're still his people, right? Also, as for me, far be it from me that I should sin against Yahweh in ceasing to pray for you. Wow, listen to that, guys. It's a sin when we don't pray for Yah's people. That's a sin. So he said, far be it from me that I should sin against Yahweh in ceasing to pray for you, but I shall teach you the good and the straight way. What is the straight way? It's the Torah, the right rulings, and the statutes of Yah. Only fear Yahweh, and you shall serve him in truth with all of your heart. For consider what marvels he has done for you. But if you persist in doing evil, both you and your sovereign are going to be consumed. And guys, you know, what is it, Matthew, where Yah tells us, why do we worry about the little things?
25.
If we pursue Yah with all of our heart and stop dwelling and spending your valuable time on the petty junk of this world. Stop it. Stop spending time watching the worthless, trashy TV. Stop.
Well, if you're doing that, your eyes aren't on him.
Your eyes aren't on him,
Taking your eyes off of him,
and
not
generally
really.
they're on something horrible.
Yes.
I mean, these what are they called? Reality shows. I mean, I'm shocked at what that's somebody's reality. Why are they sharing it with the rest of the world if they're living like this? I mean, it's just
What
beyond
did
me.
Adam and Eve do in the garden? What did they do with their time? They spent it with Yah.
They spend it working the garden and
But I mean, they walked and talked
and
with
communing with Yah.
It was they were consumed with it.
Yes.
I mean, because that was
That's
their
the only place they wanted to be.
That's right.
They heard the angels, they heard the choirs
Can you
constantly. They
imagine?
smelled the beautiful. Can you imagine the aroma
Purple.
in the kingdom? Did they smell good?
I don't know. Yeah, they do.
Those Hawaiian flowers. Oh, have you ever smelled those? What were they called?
Plumerias.
Plumerias.
I have a bunch.
Yes,
You did have one.
I do.
Oh, do you?
I still do.
Good.
I do. I do have
I
one.
had one.
Romans 13, 1-7, and then guess what happens? Then we're going to go to another chapter and we're going to find, no, I'm kidding.
We're gonna eat.
Valerie was like, what?
We're gonna eat.
We're going to eat.
Where are we in Romans?
Romans 13, 1. Yeah, everybody's thinking about food in here because there's roast and peas and lots of good stuff in there.
Banana pudding.
Ooh. I just lost the class, okay?
Yeah.
They just like vacated.
Romans what?
13:1. Let every being be in subjection to the governing authorities. Let every being be in subjection to the governing authorities. For there is no authority except from Elohim, and the authorities that exist are appointed by Elohim. Guys, listen, this is hard because let every being be in subjection to the governing authorities. It doesn't matter how bad they are. It's the same thing as when Yah says you are to honor your mother and father so that you will live long and prosper. This is the same thing. He has put these people in authority over us because guess what?
We asked for it.
We asked for it and we got it.
Okay, and the thing is, asking for it, where were our hearts? If we're not right with Yahuwah, then we're not gonna have, the right thought
That's right.
to understand who we need to put there. So who's gonna influence?
I didn't ask for it, yes. Did y'all?
No,
Did y'all? I didn't ask for this, and I'm not gonna go there.
but,
First Peter, I
but
want us
not
to go to,
everybody is walking in the,
But also he wants them there for his own purpose.
That's exactly
for-
right.
For reasons that we never.
but generally his own purpose is being fulfilled because we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing.
uh-huh.
So
that's
it's a
what he's
big
saying.
circle, it's a circle
Yeah,
there,
it is
is
a
what it
circle.
is. Okay, we're gonna go to First Peter,
But we got what we asked for.
we did.
First Peter, I'm
Again,
sorry,
I
still
didn't ask for it. First Peter 2:13 through 17.
Our ancestors asked for it.
Can I read it?
Yes, you can.
Yay. 1184.
Page
Thank you very
1184,
much.
guys.
Y'all there? Be, be subject to every institution of man because of the master, whether to the sovereign as supreme, or to governors as to those who are sent by him for the punishment of doers of evil, and a praise for those who do good, because such is the desire of Elohim, that by doing good you should put to silence the ignorance of foolish men.
Wow.
As free, yet not using your freedom as a cloak for evil, but as servants of Elohim. Respect all, love the brotherhood, fear Elohim, respect the sovereign.
Go ahead and read that 18.
Servants, be subject to your masters with all fear, not only to the good and gentle, but also to the crooked ones. For this is favor if, because of conscience toward Elohim, anyone bears up under grief, suffering unrighteousness.
Perfect. That is perfect. So what Grant just read is be subject to every institution of man because of the master, whether to the sovereign or the supreme. Guys, there's no if they're good. There's no stipulations to whether you should honor them and be obedient. You're hearing this, right? Now that doesn't mean if you don't agree with the things they're doing that you have to follow. If it goes against Torah, you don't have to do it.
Yeah, I'm not getting vaccinated.
Amen.
Okay,
Stand up for a while.
guys. Wow. I don't want to get this banned. 1 Peter 5:5. In the same way, I'm gonna scan through these really quick. In the same way, you younger ones, be subject to elders.
You hear that?
And gird yourself with humility towards one another, even towards one another, each one of us. We should gird ourselves with humility in dealing with each other. Because one of us is no better than the other, ever, ever, ever. For Elohim resists the proud, but gives favor to the humble. Look at Moshe. He was the most humble. This is Yah's own words. He was the most humble of all men on the face of the earth. And Yah gave him great, great favor, didn't he?
And he had been raised in Pharaoh's household.
Oh, he was a prince.
A prince.
He was
So
a prince.
He was elevated even, and so you would think, oh man, he's gonna think he's really something. But he didn't. He was humble.
He didn't, and his mother, I think we established that his mother came out of Egypt with them. She was in that mixed multitude, which was really cool.
Oh, the princess.
His mom,
Amazing.
yeah, his mother.
Yeah,
Hebrews 13:17.
that is amazing.
Obey those leading you and be subject to them, for they watch for your lives as having to give account. Let them do so with joy and not with groaning, for that would be of no advantage to you. So guys, that would be your employer. That would be the leader of your house. That would be Dennis, and that would be Valerie. It's anyone who's leading or guiding you. they're there because they're supposed to be protecting your lives, and they're supposed to be giving account for you. So we do it in a way that it makes them smile and happy and joyful, right? We don't want to grieve them, especially Valerie.
You'll get that phone call. She's like, I'm coming over.
Everybody goes, she's coming over.
We know that tone of your voice.
Yeah, I never get that up here, do I? Sam,
What?
is she coming downstairs?
No, you're right.
Is that her coming downstairs? She's stomping and she's
You're
coming
right.
I
fast.
inherited that from my mother.
Okay, Titus 3:12. When I shall send Artemis to you, or Tychicus, do your best to come to me at Nicopolis, for I have decided to spend the winter here. Wait. That's not, I'm sorry, it's Titus 1-2. Remind them to be subject to rulers and authorities, to obey, to be ready for every good work. I want to give you an example of Daniel. When the edict came from, Nebuchadnezzar. When the edict came from him, no more praying. You don't pray to anyone, you don't bow to anyone but me. Remember that? What did Daniel do? He kept praying. And not only did he keep praying, he prayed in the window so everybody could see him praying. He's like, I'm going to break the law, and you're going to see me breaking the law. I'm not going to hide and try to sneak about and do it. You're going to see me. And like Valerie said, 3 times a day, he did it. So if it goes against what the Word of Yah says, don't do it, right? And that takes wisdom. That takes wisdom. We can't just think and do. Okay, we're going to go to Ephesians 3:5, and it's going to be the one of our last little jumps. And we're going to go 3:5-6. Are you there yet? Yes, ma'am. I'm going to read it. I'm going to try to get us through here. Okay, which was not made known to the sons of men in other generations, as it has now been revealed by the Spirit to his set apart emissaries and prophets, the nations to be co-heirs, united in the same body, and partakers together in the promise in Messiah, through the good news, of which I became a servant according to the gift of favor of Elohim, given to me according to the working of his power. Well, that's a good verse.
That's a good verse.
But I don't know what it's doing here. So the point is, guys, we have to respect and honor. That looked like somebody got hurt over there. We have to respect and honor those that are in authority over us. Okay?
Maybe 8 and 9, is that one of the
8 and 9,
I don't know.
it could be. To me, the very least of all the set apart ones, this favor was given to bring the good news to the unsearchable riches of Messiah among the nations, among the Gentiles, and to make all see how the secret is administered, which for ages past has been hidden in Elohim, who created all through Yahusha Messiah. Wow. You know what? This is another one of those scriptures that says everything was created through Messiah. I'm going to write this verse down. Excuse me just a moment. That's a good one there. But, yeah, that wasn't it. No, I'm kidding. It was a good one, though, Chanel. Okay, let's finish up Romans. So he who opposes the authority withstands the institution of Elohim, and those who withstand shall bring judgment on themselves. So if you're going against the rulers and the authorities, you first of all, you're causing them grief. Second of all, you're bringing judgment on who? Not on them, on you. That's not good. For those ruling are an object of fear, not to good works, but to evil. Do you wish to be not afraid of the authority? Do the good, and you shall have praise from it, for it is a servant of Elohim to you for good. But if you do evil, be afraid, for it does not bear the sword in vain. For it is a servant of Elohim. It is the authority that we're talking about here. A revenger to execute wrath on him who practices evil. Guys, it's calling those who don't obey and honor the authorities as evildoers, breakers of Torah. I mean, that's what it's saying. You're an evildoer. Therefore, it is necessary to be subject, not only because of wrath, but also because of the conscience. For because of this, you also pay taxes, for they are servants of Elohim, attending continually to these duties. Now, he's talking about taxes that are going to Yah, right? Here, servants of Elohim. Well, it would be to the government too. Render therefore to all what is due to them, tax to whom tax is due, toll to whom toll, fear to whom fear, and respect to whom respect. Oh, no one, I'm going to read this one. Oh, no one any matter except to love one another, for he who loves one another has filled the Torah. And why is that? Why is that? Without Torah, you can't love one another. Without Torah, you're going to be talking about each other, grumbling, complaining, jealous. It just brings about everything. If you're not being obedient to Torah, obey, everything else goes wrong, right? So this is a hard lesson.
It's instructions for everyday life. Everything that we need to do, it tells us how to do it.
That's exactly what all of this is. But it's learning that there's order in the kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, there's order in families, there's order in businesses and in government. And unfortunately, there are a lot of governments that have got leadership in place that are not good leaders, but they have the power, and it was given through Yah. Every one of them. Every single one of them. So we have got to honor that, and that is hard. I've got to work on that for me. I've got to work on my mouth and that for me. I'm just going to be honest. That's going to be a hard one for me. But we can do it through Yah's grace, can't we? Everything's possible through Him who strengthens us. Okay. Any questions from anyone? We've got some friends on board with us, and I haven't learned how to use this yet, but I've got to get someone to watch the comments. But guys, listen. If you need scripture Bibles, give us a yell. We'll get them to you. Have we heard from Kalul yet? Kalul, there are Bibles coming your way. Please let us know if you've received them, because those were sent.
It takes about 4 weeks.
I was going to say this. Those were sent about a month or more ago. But if you need scripture Bibles, let us know, because that's part of our ministry here. And do we have anything else that we want to add before we say goodbye to our live streamers? Do we love you? No? Well, Shabbat Shalom. We love you. Be blessed. We are coming back this afternoon for our study we're in Revelation 2. We are in Revelation 2. We're slowly making our way through Revelation. And it will be good. I've got sleepy people in here already. I know what's going to happen when we come back from eating. Everybody's like, they're starving. Dennis is almost asleep over here. Let's just pray. Father Yah, we love you. We love your word. Father, we love the message from the word. Every bit of it, Father, is for us to build us up and to turn us into the people that you want to spend eternity with. And that's going to be a walk for many of us. We've got a lot of changing to do. We've got a lot of heart matters to get settled. Father, through your grace, through your power, through your strength, through the Holy Spirit, we can accomplish that. We can get that done. And we can walk the walk that you're wanting us to do. It is not impossible. And Father, what we have is our Messiah and our Redeemer there. For when we stumble, when we fall, we repent, we get back up, and He is there to help us. So Father, we thank you for our Messiah. We thank you that when the day comes that we get to go into the kingdom, Father, He is that door we get to go through. And I just pray that everyone in this room so resembles Him that even from a distance, He's like, here comes my children. My children are coming right now. And He just automatically opens up for us. Father, we love you so much. We praise you on this beautiful, amazing Shabbat. Father, bless everyone out there in live stream land that is listening to us now or even later. We get many people that listen after the fact. So, Father, bless them. Let this word change the way they think. Father, let it open up the fullness of your word to them. Let them see truth. And Abba, keep us teaching only truth. If we ever get off track, shut our ministry down. And I ask you to do that, Father. We praise you this day in the precious, precious name of our Redeemer, our Savior, our Messiah, and our soon coming King, Yahushua HaMashiach. We pray these things. Amen. And amen. So, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be back at about 3 o'clock for our revelation, and we're not going to do a long revelation this afternoon because my research tools were down last night, and everything I was going to wrap up I didn't even get to do, so hopefully it will be good. But come join us anytime. We love to meet together because this is our family, and we love each other.
We love you.
So they love you too. So we love our live streamers. Bless you all. And Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Oh no, come here. Where did it end? I took my glasses off and now I couldn't see the